Hey, this is Raulh. Please act right. If any of you guys are thinking about going to a foreign country like the Philippines and getting with a woman, John is the perfect example of what not to do when you get there. John once married a young Filipino girl while he remained in the States. He traveled back and forth to visit 2 or 3 times a year. He was giving her an allowance of $400 a month for those 2 years for her to go to college. After she graduated, she disappeared on him. John was left married to a woman he had no idea where she was. It took thousands of dollars for John to get divorced from her, and he had to pay lawyers in the United States who worked with lawyers that he had to pay for in the Philippines too. Keep in mind, there's no such thing as divorce in the Philippines as of yet. Lucky for John, the divorce was granted. Now, John has gotten involved with Diana, another young Filipino woman, and now he has caused another mess that he has to resolve. So let's take a look at what John did this time that's got him stressed yet again in the Philippines. But before we get started, a word from our sponsor. Are you among the diet resistant? We've been told forever that diet and exercise are the key to weight loss, but it doesn't work for everybody, especially after we reach the age of 35 to 50, where any expert will agree that weight loss becomes much harder. The reality is that stress and lifestyle factors can make weight loss more difficult as we age. You don't know it yet, but in the next 60 seconds, you're going to learn how to help skyrocket energy levels, boost your metabolism, and help reach your weight loss goals quicker. Now listen closely. After years of trial and error, the best secret is to elevate your ketone levels with a new amazing keto powder. This powder ignites your weight loss journey by supporting a boost metabolism. The fact of the matter is, you want to boost metabolism because it reduces your body's fat storage. To further reinforce this fact, thousands of customers rave about the benefits they're receiving from it. Stop and ask yourself how amazing your body will look after taking it now. Try it today risk-free for 60 days simply by going to ketoactright.com or clicking on the link below. This is time sensitive, so hurry. After you enter your details, you'll receive your bag delivered to your doorstep in a few short days. After John got his previous marriage resolved, John stayed in the United States and saved up a decent amount of money. How much money it was, I'm unclear on. However, you'll see that it was a decent amount of money as the story goes on. So John goes to the Philippines with the plans to stay there permanently, but he doesn't have a steady income coming in. This is something I never suggest that you do. You need to have a steady income coming in, not just money that you saved up. He was supposed to rely on that money that he saved to last him for 2 years until his Social Security kicked in, which at that time he'd be at age 62. Well, that probably would have been fine and dandy, but John met Diana online.
So, you met John on Facebook?
Yes.
And when you first met him, did you like him a lot?
Yes, I like a lot.
You liked him a lot?
First, in love right away.
You did?
For his, this is the first time I meet foreigner. So
Oh, the first foreigner you ever met?
the first time I meet John, and of course he's a very handsome that time. So
I'd argue that with you all day long, but okay.
She said she fell for him because he was a very handsome guy. Well, they felt that they were an item, so they got an apartment together, which of course John paid for.
right away with John here in the Bumagati with apartment.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And you guys were happy in the apartment.
Yes.
And then when did the wheels fall off of that? Was that just because of the mismanagement?
Now John, knowing his funds were limited, did not protect himself, or should I say, protect the both of them, by not wearing condoms during sex. Not only did John end up getting Diana pregnant, but she was pregnant with twins. But still, everything was going fine.
And then when did the wheels fall off of that? Was that just because of the mismanagement of money, or what happened there? Or you guys decided to move to the barangay for some reason?
That's when everything got crazy.
So I'm still trying to understand why, when you're happy in the apartment and everything's going cool and groovy, and I think you had a motorbike and everything was cool, and then you went to the barangay. Whose great idea was that? Go build that.
We went there to save on the rent. You know, the mother was like, "Why are you guys paying rent when you can come here and you don't have to pay rent?"
So Diana's mother convinced John that they should move to the barangay, also known as the village, where Diana originally lived. So the move was to save money on the rent that they were spending on the apartment that they were living in. It made sense to John, so he agreed. Now here's the part of what John did that made no sense.
Now, this is after the house was built, the upstairs was built, you know, the truck was purchased, all that kind of stuff. why don't you just come here? So that's we said, okay, well that's probably a good idea. Why are we spending all this money? So we did. That's what I did. I packed up my stuff and went to the garage.
Notice he said after the house was built and the truck was bought, for some unknown reason, John got the bright idea to take his money that he was supposed to be rationing out for over 2 years and built a house in the barangay while he and Diana lived in an apartment. And while having no steady income coming in, he even loaned one of the guys in the village money to buy a truck, even after the retired guys that he knows told him it was a bad idea to be shelling out money like that. I mean, come on, John, make it make sense. Now remember, foreigners cannot own land in the Philippines. Now you can buy a house, but it has to have a Filipina's name on it. If she wants to get rid of you, you have to leave. And the house belongs to her, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Well, Diana turned out not to be the start of John's problems. When Diana is asked whether her family likes John or not,
What does your family think of John? Do they like him or not like him?
Not really.
They don't like him.
so John built them a house. And once he moved to the barangay, which he was invited to by Diana's mother, they don't like him. I wonder why.
Do you know why?
Because for being selfish. Being selfish.
They're being
Korean
selfish. They're being selfish or John?
I'm selfish.
You're selfish.
Curry pot means cheap.
Okay, so,
Messiah.
okay, here we go. This is what I love the honesty here.
So John builds them a house and now they call him cheap. I don't get it. There's got to be more to this.
How many people are in that barangay? 30, 40, 50 people?
Okay?
They expect me that I'm gonna go to the house that I built and share food with all of these people. Because I won't do that, I'm selfish.
So they expect him to feed everybody in the barangay, and when he refuses, which he should, they say he's selfish. Wow, that's crazy. So the people, including Diana's mother, refuse to help Diana with the babies. And the reason they give is because...
Do you know why your family acts that way?
Me and John.
Uh-huh.
We're not married like a chart, right? What do you
Right.
call that? Me and John, living partner.
Yeah, live-in partners, fine.
So they say it's because John and Diana are not married. Okay, so why wasn't this a problem before when they lived in an apartment together? But now that John has moved there and he refuses to feed everybody, now them not being married is an issue. Remember, they were doing fine and had no problems until John wouldn't cough up any money.
Did you, do you think that there's a possibility that part of that's your fault or no?
No.
Okay. Well, here's the deal. Here's why I asked that. Is that there's guys that I've known that have gone up and acted the role of the big shot. You know, like they buy this, they buy that. And Filipinos are very impressionable, I guess, you know? So they think, well, this guy's got endless money. I mean, people look at me and think that just because I'm a foreigner.
I don't see how it could be my fault. I never went in there and said I would give this and give that. You know, I never did. I said I my job's to take care of Diana and the
Right.
kids. It's not. I'm not taking care of the whole thing.
Now what Paul, the guy who's holding the camera and asking the questions, is trying to get John to realize is because he built the house and gave the loan for the truck, they instantly think that he's rich. Think about it. He paid for a house to be built and he was still paying rent in an apartment. He should not have had that house built. Paul is trying to get him to realize it's because he built the house that made them believe he had money. But John doesn't want to own up to it. But let's continue, because now we're going to see who started this whole mess in that barangay.
The mother run around telling everybody that I'm a chismis and saying that he won't share, and she tells everybody she possibly can. He won't share anything with all of you people so you can eat. I said, well, I'm not gonna.
Sure.
Sorry.
And there it is. It's Diana's mother who's causing all the problems, going around calling John cheap. She feels he should feed everybody in the barangay because she's under the assumption, an assumption she came up with all on her own, that he's wealthy because he's a foreigner that had money to build a house. This is why it's best to move slow and not show that you have any type of money to buy large ticket items, or they'll think that you have a lot of money to spare, or should I say, to share.
Came off. That's when I got hit with, you know, People had their hands out all the time. I mean, at one point there was, I think, 8 or 10 people who came upstairs. I felt like the Godfather or something. I'm sitting in the chair and they come up and they sit in the chair just like you are. Well, we need to borrow money for this and we need to borrow money for that. And at one point I had to write everything down so I could keep track of all the people I'm giving money to.
Sure.
Yeah, and that started with that, and then started with the chismis. He's not sharing, he's cheap, and then that. And not only does one or two people say that, it goes through the whole barangay.
See, this is something we can all learn from. Just like anywhere else in the world, if people think you have money, here they come asking for it. So note to self, make like you have just enough to get by. And if you make a big purchase, make them think that it broke your bank. Now listen to this part. Because they're mad John won't share money that he doesn't even have, they're putting John and Diana's babies at health risk by smoking around them.
And the health of the babies. Let's touch on that, because you were concerned. We had the babies in the hospital at one point in time. They got recovered, thank God. That was a blessing for sure.
Very good.
Man. But we're concerned about their future needs.
Now these babies were just released from the hospital from breathing problems. And the people that live in the house that John built smoke around these babies anyway.
Because everybody smokes?
Yes.
Can you tell us about what they do?
The people.
Yeah, the people that smoke. What happens?
You warn them, but they don't care. They're still smoking inside or outside.
And the babies breathe
Yes.
that. And do they touch the babies or?
Yes, touch the baby, kiss the face.
Yeah. You hear how the babies are sitting there coughing and hacking and all that stuff right now?
Right.
Every person in that barangay is like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, so
of
everybody's got a sniffle, everybody's got a cough, everybody's got a runny nose, and a cigarette hanging from their mouth.
Exactly. Exactly. And what Diana's trying to say is they don't care. They just don't care.
And this is why John should have never spent his savings on building that house. This problem could easily be resolved by just packing up and moving. But because John is now broke, they have to deal with it. They have no money to move.
And I guess the fact that you came over here with such a limited amount of funds, and we're not going to belabor that, but that could have been done better. And again, not beating you up, John.
Well, the next time, we already know, emergency fund and source of income.
Correct. And I don't mean to be derogatory here, but it's kind of the example of what not to do. In other words, come over here with not enough money and not a real solid plan, and then that was the result.
So as a result of John mishandling his money, he ended up putting himself in a place where he's snapping on people in the Philippines.
Okay.
And I'll be the first one to admit my behavior was nowhere near it should be.
Ah, I love honesty.
No, nowhere near what it should be. I mean, I got pissed at the mother. Man, I told the mother off. You know, I told other people off. You know, and that's just, you know, it's just no place for an American. Put it that way.
Okay.
The last thing you want to do is move all the way over there to be stressed. Hell, he could have just stayed in the States for that. Well, lucky for John, the retirees pulled their money together to buy John a ticket to go back to the United States and get a job and send Diana some money to get the kids out of the barangay. But what is she gonna do between now and then?
The good news is that you got involved with the community pulled together and kind of straightened this whole thing out for you. And the end result is not perfect because I know you want to stay here. But at least you've got an opportunity now to go home, put your ship right in the ocean, you know, get your house in order. And Diana, I understand, is going to be lonely. She's going to be alone. She's going to be struggling with the family issues. But you guys will be the LDR. You'll be the long distance relationship.
Look at this poor child's face. These women rely on men to make good money moves. But because of John's bad money decision in building that house and using pretty much of all of his savings, she's left with their 2 sick babies having to deal with this situation.
So Diana, what will life be like for you while John is gone? You're going to be alone there in the barangay. You don't have any other options. It's not like you can go to an apartment or move.
Being alone upstairs only, and living upstairs only.
So you're going to stay upstairs?
Yes,
Okay.
with the babies.
with the babies.
So now her plan is to isolate herself and the 2 babies in the upstairs room until John can send her money. Wow.
And I guess the good news is, if there is any on this, is once John gets to America, gets settled in, he'll be able to send you some money every month to help with the babies and yourself. Do you see any problem with the barangay? When you receive money, will they expect you to share that with them?
Well, yes.
They
But
will.
I'm not gonna do that.
You're not going to do it.
That's right. Don't give them a dime of your money when you get it. They wouldn't help you with the babies even after John built that house. And they're smoking and making your baby sick. Don't give them not 1 peso.
Okay, well, that's good.
Well, what she said is that that's what the barangay expects. They expect, oh, Diana's got some money, and they'll run all to each other's house, and they'll say, oh, Diana's got money, and they'll all come out, and they'll put their hand out. And that's the way the barangay works.
So they don't care about smoking around your kids, but when you get some money, they want some too. The nerve.
Are you going to be able to cope or deal with the next year and a half of living in those conditions? With the babies and the smoking
In
and
the barangay?
in the barangay?
No.
No.
Like you said, they're with a cigarette hanging out of their mouth.
They can survive.
They can't survive that. Greatest thing I think that you can do for Diana is just work your ass off.
Yeah.
Once you get a job, and then maybe you could send her enough money to where she can bug out of there and get a simple place, like you've got now,
Yeah.
like Navarro or wherever you're staying, or something similar, to where at least you're out of that area, you're away, and you have a clean and healthy environment for the kids. That's the thing, I think.
So here's the thing. This video was recorded about 2 weeks before John was about to leave for the United States. John was so broke, he didn't have enough money to feed himself for his 30-hour flight back to the United States. Those babies can't wait for him to get back to the States, find a job, get his first paycheck, and send Diana some money. So a few of us got together and pooled our resources and sent Diana some money to help her start getting out of that barangay. They already had a hospital bill from a previous visit when the babies had to be admitted for 4 days. And right after John left, one of the babies got sick again, and they had to admit that child for another 3 days, which created another hospital bill for Diana. Between Paul, the guy holding the camera, and his wonderful girlfriend May, the lady holding the babies, myself and a few viewers, we're helping Diana get a place of her own so those babies can live in a clean, safe, and smoke-free environment. Just look at Diana's face. She is too young to be dealing with this type of stress. And this stress came from her trusting an older gentleman who she relied on to make common sense decisions. Because Diana is so young, she can't really stand up for herself in that barangay. And when you have no money, you're at the mercy of whoever's feeding you and giving you shelter. Fellas, if you're gonna go over there and deal with a woman, please leave these young girls alone. Find a woman who has a little bit of something, where she has some type of control over her environment. Some of these young ladies haven't even worked jobs yet, so they don't even have job experience, let alone life experience. Lastly, one of the biggest worries that Filipinas and women all over the world have is once they get pregnant, the man who got them pregnant deserts them. And that includes foreigners too. Listen to John tell Diana that he's not deserting her and the kids, that he's going to the United States to get his money back on track, and he's going to return.
Well, I do gotta say, like I said on the video yesterday, not abandoning the kids, going to America and fulfill my responsibilities as a father. As simple as that. I mean, that's what an American does. At least I do anyway. So I'll be back. I'll be here. Count on it. You don't have to say, oh, I'm sure. Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Well, I'm sure, 100%. I mean, that's the whole goal of me going to U.S. is to take care of these things, the rubber stamping kind of stuff, and get back here as soon as I can with an emergency fund and with an income.
You hear him? He told her this before, and she keeps asking, are you sure? Are you sure? See the look on her face? That's the look that says, I've heard this before from other Filipinas after having a baby by a man, and the man claims he's coming back, but he never returns.
Diana, any final words? Any last words? Any thoughts? I think Diana's a little sad about this whole situation.
So fellas, if you're planning on moving to the Philippines or any other country for that matter, saving a large amount of money and going over there without having a constant stream of income coming in is not a good idea. It's also not a good idea to spend your money building a house for a woman's family, unless you have that kind of money to just throw away. Which brings me to my last point. Even if you have the money to build a house for you and her, be sure that it is money that you can throw away. Because if she wants you out, you're out, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I have reached out to Diana, and I'm keeping in touch with her to make sure that her and those babies are okay. Because they shouldn't have to suffer because John made bad money decisions. And hopefully, the next time I do a video about John, Diana, and those babies, it will be good news that John is back and has his money coming in on the regular. And when he returns, when he shares his plans to do something, and the other retirees tell him that it's not a good idea to do it, hopefully he'll listen. And if he doesn't and messes things up and has my new friend Diana and those babies suffer again, I'm gonna fly to the Philippines and punch him dead in his belly button. Hey, somebody had to tell you, and I love you, so it might as well be me. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to get notified when I post a new video. I post a new video every week. And in the meantime, will you please act right? My name is Raulh. See you in another video. So if you enjoyed this video, check out one of these two videos right here. I'm sure you'll enjoy them too. And if you like, you can visit my channel. I have plenty of videos there. Go ahead. Don't be scared.